And we're back. Hello, everyone. We are getting started now. Thank you all for joining us today. We're excited to have you here. Today, we're going to be talking about automating AdWords with some time-saving scripts. Now, those of you who joined us last month are familiar with today's speaker. Myself, Steve Murphy. I am the Director of Marketing at NetElixir, and I am joined here by Manish Mohan, who is the head of paid media. Today's agenda, first, we're going to talk a little bit about scripts, why you should use them, and why they're important. Next, we're going to go into 4 scripts that we think you should be using right now, and they're 4 of the favorites that we use here at NetElixir. Then we'll go into a little bit of a demo where we'll show you how to use the scripts. We'll show you where to find these scripts on our website so you can take action after the webinar. And then we'll get a little bit into your own questions and answer section so that we can answer any of the extra queries that you might have that we haven't covered. Now, before I go in, for those of you who are new today, I want to tell you a little bit about NetElixir. NetElixir is a digital agency that helps companies in the retail e-commerce space, and our main mission is decoding what makes people click. What we like to do at NetElixir is not just focus on clicks per se, not just focus on impressions or CPCs. Instead, we like to focus on who your customers are. We'd like to understand their journey. We want to know what makes those people make purchasing decisions and connect all that back to your advertising so that we can help you find more profitable customers that last much longer than before. Our team is composed of over 120 plus fanatically analytical search marketers operating in 3 countries across the globe. And our value is that we help you own the search bar. So no matter where your customers are searching, whether it's Google, Amazon, Facebook, or any other sites that show up in the future, our goal is to always help you own all of those search bars so that customers can find you more easily. We're proud partners with Google as a premier partner. We are a Bing Select agency, and we are a UPS exclusive partner. So shout out to all of the UPS reps that we have on the webinar today. Hey, everyone. And we are very proud of that relationship as well. And as you can see, we've worked with over 400 clients in the retail e-commerce space across nearly every category, going from electronics companies like Lenovo, to flower and gifting companies like Teleflora, to iconic apparel and department stores like Ashley Stewart and Century 21, along with many, many, many others. So let's get into the crux of why we're here today. I think it's no secret to everyone on this call that you're really, really busy, right? So as e-commerce search experts and PPC professionals, you know that at the core of what we do has a lot to do with keywords, but that's not nearly the tip of the iceberg when it comes to everything you have to worry about, right? We have to think about things on the device level. We have to think about time of day, day of week, where your people are located, whether it's in the state, country, or world, what their interests are. And layer on top of that all the different targeting options we have around demographics and browsers and devices, mobile, desktop, audiences, right? It's a lot to think about. And when you start to combine all these different factors, you could see that there's nearly an infinite amount of ways that you could be spending your time every day at work. Unfortunately, we don't have infinite time. We don't have infinite resources. And some things need to be scaled so that you can spend your time focusing on more important strategic initiatives rather than doing the same things every day. And that's where scripts come in, right? For those of you who aren't aware, a AdWords script is a snippet of JavaScript code designed to execute commands directly in AdWords, right? In layman's terms, it's something that will help you automate redundant tasks, right? If you've never used a script before, I will lead with saying that there are a couple requirements you have to follow. First of all, You have to have a little bit of a background in JavaScript if you want to create or edit most scripts, right? These things can be a little complex, and scripts are extremely powerful, but that means they come at the cost that it can also do a lot of damage if you don't know what you're doing. So we recommend that if you want to start using scripts, if you don't have a background in JavaScript, either bring in your web team, consult your agency, or talk to someone who can look at the code and really understand what they're saying. Secondly, and this should be obvious, but you need to have an active AdWords account. So scripts right now aren't going to work in Bing. They're not going to work on most other platforms. Google is one of the few that really does have a really robust catalog of scripts. And in order to take advantage of the ones we're sharing today, you have to be an active AdWords user. Lastly, it usually only makes sense to dig into scripts when you have a larger account, right? If you have a really small account, let's say you're only spending a couple thousand a month, or you're just dipping your toes into PPC for the first time, you're probably not the right candidate to get the most out of scripts. But if you're someone that manages a large account or has multiple accounts you need to manage, and there are many different actions that you have to repeatedly do, that's where scripts really come into play and can help you scale your efforts. So what are some of the perks of using scripts? This comes straight from Google itself, right? There are really four main areas where scripts are going to help you scale. First and foremost, they extend the capabilities of AdWords. So AdWords is, as we all know, a really robust platform, but not everything you can do with it is built into its core. Scripts allow you to add on features and functionalities to personalize AdWords to your brand and your account where you may not have otherwise been able to do it. Secondly, it allows you to pull in data from external sources. Say you want to bring in third-party conversion data, or if you want to bring in your inventory feed, or you want to bring in some other sort of structured data from around the web. Scripts allow you to do that and to make changes to your AdWords account based upon that third-party data. In addition to that, they also allow you to push out data to external sources. For example, you might want to get an email alert when something happens within your account. You can build a script to do that. You might want to build a script that can automatically build out a fully functional report for your executive team, right? Scripts can be built to push data out as well as pull it in. And finally, like I mentioned before, scripts allow you not only to make changes across your entire account, but you can also look at a subset of your account, maybe a few campaigns, or even use scripts to scale across multiple accounts. So we do have some clients that split their brand into multiple accounts, and scripts allow us to make changes universally across all those accounts without having to go into each one individually and make those changes. So before we get started, I wanted to start with a little question for everyone in the audience. So if you can jump into the questions panel, let me know, what kinds of tasks do you have to do every day that you wish you could automate? So why don't we see some of the responses you guys have. So type that into the questions panel. What are some of the tasks that you have that you wish you could automate? And we'll take a look at these at the end of the webinar, and we'll hopefully be able to put together in the next few months some scripts that help you solve these problems. So at your leisure, please type that in. We look forward to seeing some of the areas. Great. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes. Let's talk about the 4 scripts that all of you should be using right now. Now, I will advise those of you who have some sort of heart issues, or if you are adverse to any disturbing content, you might want to look away from this next slide, because I'm going to show you something that may upset a lot of people in the audience. And what that is the dreaded 404 page not found. I don't know any 3 numbers that invoke fear into the hearts of search marketers more than this. right? Whenever a customer clicks on one of your ads and lands on a broken page, it can just rack up wasted spend and absolutely ruin a lot of what you're doing, right? It means that your quality score could go down. It means that you're wasting money on clicks. And it means that that customer might have a really bad experience visiting your site and never come back again. So what can you do? Well, the first thing you can do is download our first script, the broken link checker. Now I'll hand it off to Manish. He'll tell you a little bit more about the script and how to use it and what it will do for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. I do agree. I mean, those three numbers are definitely, I think, the most dreadful numbers that any search marketer can see. And I'm sure that everyone in the room will definitely agree with me if I say that the success of any advertising campaign does depend on the fact that you have to take the customer as deep into the website as you can, especially with voice search being on the rise and long tail queries, being on the rise nowadays. It's really important that you take the customers to exactly the page that they're looking for. And that can be done. The bigger your inventory is, the more will be the number of URLs that you have on your website, which means that in an ideal world, every single campaign, every single keyword that you have in the account should most likely get a distinct URL. Again, it's doable, but the challenge that it throws out is on an ongoing basis, how do you ensure that none of these pages are broken? Right? I mean, you may have thousands and hundred thousands of URLs in your account. It's practically impossible to keep a constant watch from a manual perspective. And that's where this script can become in really handy. All that you have to do is go to your AdWords account, create a new script. There will be a very brief piece of Java snippet code that you have to paste there. And once you run this code, it will actually export a particular Google Sheet, which shows you all the different error codes that you have in your account. And we typically advise you to do this at least once a month. If it's a smaller account, maybe once a quarter should do. But what this will help you do is at least save 3 to 4 hours every single time you have to do a URL audit. But more importantly, ensure that your user experience for your end customers is not impacted.
Great. For our next script, let me take you on a tale of two cities, Manish. And let me ask this question. Even though they're both on the West Coast, do you think that customers who live in Seattle are the same as the customers that live in San Diego?
No two customers are the same.
Absolutely. And especially when we look at how we optimize our account, a lot of the times we treat these people as if they're the same rather than looking at unique conditions like demand, weather, income levels, product preferences. All these things can create vastly different customer groups across the country, and we have to be able to adapt to that. And that's where our next script comes in, the location bid modifier by CPO.
All right. So what this script essentially helps you do is, to begin with, you need to have all the regions that you target mapped to all the different campaigns that you have. And the regions could vary, right? There could be a business which wants to look at things from a state level. There are some clients that we work with who actually go all the way down to the city level. That again differs from one account or one client to another. Once you map all the campaigns, let's assume that you have 100 campaigns in your account and you have mapped each campaign to, let's say, 40 different states. That's 4,000 combinations right there. Again, I'm pretty sure that it's practically impossible that you can actually look at the combination for every campaign and every state and figure out which combination is working and which is not. And that's exactly why we came up with this script, wherein your account team or the search experts who are working with you can come up with a set of rules, right? The rule could be that the moment a particular location gets me 100 clicks, or let's say 50 conversions on a particular time period, and has a cost per order less than $20, if that is a good threshold for you to define success, that becomes the defining rule for this particular bid. The moment a particular region hits that constraint, the script will go ahead and increase the bid modifier for that location, let's say by 2% or by 5%. And on the contrary, if there's a location which is not working for you, for whatever reason, as Steve mentioned, whether income level, there could be n number of factors that influence that. But if for some reason a particular location is not working for you from a CPO or a cost per order perspective, the script will also have the ability to go in and pull back. So at any point in time, you will not end up spending, all your budget in locations that don't work for you. And this is more of a proactive approach, right? Rather than letting your campaigns run for a week and then coming back and figuring out, oh, this location did not work. Rather do it right when some locations are bleeding. So from a real-time perspective, you will be able to optimize your campaigns.
Great. That sounds like really one of the most powerful ones we have in our library.
Absolutely.
Before we jump into the next one, let me paint a picture for everyone. It's Friday afternoon. You've just had a great week. You go home, you settle in, you make yourself a nice cheap meal, maybe a little bit of pizza, maybe a little bit of popcorn, whatever you're into. You click on the TV, and what do you see? You see that your product has been featured on one of the most popular television programs on TV. What does that mean? That means demand spikes, impressions shoot up, and the entire way you've structured your account can't necessarily handle what happened. What do you do in this situation? You download script number 3, the product group level bidding for Google Shopping script.
All right. This is my personal favorite, and I'm sure anyone who is from the search world will probably agree with me if I say that Google Shopping is probably the most powerful platform or feature or a product that has come out in the last 2 or 3 years. And it's common to see retailers spending more than 50 to 60% of their advertising budget on Google Shopping. The complexity that arises with Google Shopping is directly related to the number of SKUs that you have on your website. We work with clients who have, let's say, 1,000 SKUs all the way up to 100,000 or 1,000,000 SKUs on the website. And what this means is the account has to be structured in a way that each product group deals with a very unique set of products. Again, going back to the number of SKUs, right? So if you have, let's say, 100,000 SKUs in your website, it's possible that you might end up with a very complex account structure with maybe 200 or 300 product groups. The easy way out here is to assume that all your products have the same demand or they have the same margins. But probably 9 out of 10 cases, that is not the reality. You may have a wide spectrum of products with category A having, let's say, 20% margin versus maybe category C, which is probably a private label with a 60% margin. If all these campaigns and all these product groups are subjected to the same bidding strategy, we are setting it up to fail. And that's the reason this script allows you to look at each product group from a different ROAS perspective. So what it does is, again, there is a manual intervention wherein your account manager has to go in and determine what are those different categories and what is the ideal ROI on each category. Once you determine that, the script on a frequent basis will go in and compare each product group versus the specific ROI constraint that you set for it. If the product group meets that ROI threshold, there could be a secondary rule which allows you to invest more in that. At the same time, because it's Google Shopping and I think it's structured a little differently than the traditional search campaigns, the script will also have the ability to exclude a product group that is not working for you. And this works really well from a seasonality perspective. And you really don't need to look at 400 or 500 different ad groups manually. And it could save you more than probably 15 or 16 hours every month.
Wow. Already, I think we're up to close to 50 hours a month saved if you just implement these 3 scripts, which is huge. That means you could take a vacation maybe. Maybe you could bring on someone else to help you with strategy. A lot of different options with all the different time savings. For our last recommended script we're going to show you, we want to talk a little bit about audiences. Now, audiences over the past year or so have really become the backbone of search campaigns. And with new audiences added on a monthly basis, it's really, really sad to see orphan campaigns that exist that don't have an audience attached to them. And what we wanted to do is to make sure you never get caught in this situation. And that's why we built script number 4, the targeted audience checker.
Right. So as Steve mentioned, I definitely agree with you, Steve, that audiences have kind of become the backbone of any search strategy. And the reason for that is the number of touch points that any consumer has before they hit that buy button is only going up. And what that means is, irrespective of whether you have $1,000 to spend on search or you have $1 million to spend on search, every single retailer is trying to get in front of the right customer. And this is something that helps you qualify your customers even before you decide whether or not to invest in them on search or any other platform. So what this script essentially helps you do is first create a list of all the critical audiences that you have. Again, you may have anywhere between 50 to 100 audiences in the account. And as Steve mentioned, it's quite natural that you will only keep on adding more and more to that list. As you realize how your customers are interacting with you, how your consumer base is evolving, the number of lists will only go up. So it's a best practice to have a concrete list of the most important audiences. And as part of your standard operating procedure, every time you create a new campaign, it should ideally be linked to all the audiences. Again, all of you from the search world will definitely know that it's really easy to say that, but when you actually are in the account creating new assets all the time, it's quite natural that you might miss out on linking them to the right audiences. So again, as a best practice, this script can be scheduled to do this check once in a month, compare all your campaigns to that list of the important audiences. It may be 10 or 20, and then the output is pretty simple. It tells you that these are the campaigns and ad groups that are missing these audiences. All you need to do is go ahead and link them.
Yep, especially useful for people managing multiple accounts.
Exactly.
For many different brands.
Yep.
It's something that can easily get lost in the fold.
And just to add there, something that we do not have on the slide is, again, the most powerful feature of all these scripts is that they are customizable. So anyone who is comfortable with some amount of coding, you will really see that once you go in, once you dive deep into the code, you can actually tweak it and make it work like the way you want it to. So in this particular script, if you are dealing with an MCC account with multiple accounts, and you are sharing your audiences across different domains or different accounts that you have, this script will become even more powerful because you ultimately have to link an audience from one account to another account.
Great. So I hope those were very helpful. For those of you who want to really dig in and get started immediately, I do want to share some very brief instructions for how you can incorporate scripts into your account immediately. The first thing you're going to do is open up a script in your favorite text editor, and you're going to want to modify any lines that need to be adjusted for your particular account. So, for example, in many of these scripts, we have different CPO targets or different ROI targets. You're going to have to put in what makes sense for your brand, because what works for an apparel brand might not work for a pet food brand and vice versa. So you're going to want to go in, read the instructions, and modify any code to match to your specific account. Then, once the script is up to your liking, simply go into AdWords. If you're using the new interface, you'll see in the top right a little wrench that will allow you to go to the bulk actions and scripts tab. If you're still using the old AdWords interface, you can find it in the left-hand column under your shared resources and bulk actions. You can find your scripts in that area. And simply click New Script and paste the code that you had from your text document into the AdWords editor. Now, as Manish will probably tell you, it's really, really important that you preview the scripts before you do it.
Absolutely. Again, it's a piece of code. It's really powerful. But what it also means is if there are any lines of code that do not make sense for your specific account, it can do a lot of damage. So it's always advisable that you clean the script up, make it customizable, move the CPO rules around, but definitely preview it before you actually save it and record it in the account.
Yeah, and again, we always advise bringing in your technical team, your IT team or development team, as well as your agency to make sure that script isn't going to interfere with any other automations currently in your account.
Precisely.
Finally, when you're comfortable, here's a sample output of what a script can do for you. Now, I believe, Manish, this was the second script we went over, right?
Yes. So this was the output of the location script that we saw. And this is again a quick preview of what it does in an account. This is from a live account from one of our clients where we are currently using it. So what it essentially did is it looked at multiple locations across multiple campaigns. So if you look on the left side of the slide, you would see that some locations are repeated. That's because it is dealing with multiple campaigns. But what it essentially did is it looked at the current location bid modifier, that's the third column. And then based on all the rules we had, the script went in and recommended a new value for all the different locations. Again, the moment you save it and you schedule it, this will be done on a regular manner.
Yep, and applied throughout your entire account, saving you many, many hours of analysis, as well as many hours of grunt work actually putting the data in.
Yep.
Now, what you've all been waiting for, where can you find these scripts we've shared today? I encourage you all to visit www.netelixir.com/scripts. If you've already registered for this webinar or filled out any of our forms in the past, we won't ask you to fill out another form, we promise. You'll simply be able to click a button and access our library of scripts. Now, along with these four, we will be releasing 1 to 2 new scripts every month for the rest of the year. So for those of you who can't get enough and want to continue to optimize your account and add new automations, we encourage you to bookmark this page, check back each month, and come in and grab any of the scripts that we add. And just to reiterate from before, share your ideas. What kind of scripts would you like to see made? I want you to take down that email address and feel free to send me a note with any of the different automations or types of scripts that you would like to see. Now, I can't guarantee that we can create them, but what I can guarantee is that our team will be more than happy to look at the use case, see if it's practical to create one, and if so, we'll then release that both for you and into our script library for the future. I'll even read back some of the recommendations we had from some of the folks here today. Let me pull this up. Let's see. We had someone said they want to create smarter bids using CLV and tying it back to the CRM. That came from DT. Thank you. We had someone that wanted to do a search query analysis automatically. Thank you, Danny, for that recommendation. We'll have to connect with you on that. And finally, creating and assigning site links to ad groups. That was from Weston. So these are all great ideas on different automations that we'll look into. And again, please feel free to shoot me an email with your ideas or fill it in the questions box, and we'll take a look and connect with you afterwards. Now we'd like to take the last few minutes. I know we're right on time to go in under that 35-minute mark. We want to take these last few minutes and answer any questions that you have. So let's take a look. Okay, we got our first one in. Someone was asking about the location bid modifier script. They asked, can it be customized for other goals like E over R or ROAS? Manish,
Yep.
What do you think?
That's a great question, and that's exactly the way we use it right now. As I said in the beginning, each of these scripts can be customized for your specific clients. And the location bid modifier currently is set to work from a CPO-based model. But if your client is more comfortable using a ROAS or let's say an E by R ratio, that's again, I think there are around 3 or 4 lines in the code where it can be changed. And the script will essentially work exactly like it's supposed to, even if you change the specific row as goals. And that can definitely be done.
Great, thank you, Manish. Let's see. Okay, we have another one coming in. Is there a script that can compare default bids for each match type and alert me of these?
There is actually, and I believe it should be up on our library in the next month or so. So what this script, again, what it does is it goes into the account into every single ad group. And I do understand where that question is coming from, because as the account grows in size, there are times when you end up seeing a broad keyword with a higher bid than your exact keyword, which is not always the most ideal thing to do. So the script will go in and compare every single keyword for its different match type variations. And anywhere where the particular bid for a broad keyword is higher than the exact keyword, it can shoot out an alert and you can act on it.
Great. I'm glad you caught that one because that went way over my head. Thank you so much for covering me on that, Manish. Looks like we don't have any more questions. If you do think of something in the meantime, please, again, feel free to reach out to us directly, and we're more than happy to help you. One more announcement before we leave. We do want to let you know that in the second week of March, we will be starting SEO week. I believe that's March 13th, the week of. So please take a look. We're going to be doing 4 webinars, 4 days in a row, talking about the current state of e-commerce marketing, talking about some of the new tips and tricks you can use, and also going in and doing some live demos to help you practitioners out there. So for those of you who also deal on the organic side, I encourage you to check your inbox soon, because you will be getting an invite for SEO week within the next few days. Other than that, thank you everyone so much for attending today. We had a lot of fun again. We will be sending all these slides out to you. And don't forget, check out netelixir.com/scripts to grab all the ones we covered today. Thanks, everyone. Look forward to talking to you next month.